Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Aramis, who is only 21 years old, but already has a digital marketing job making $60,000 a year in Australia. He was studying engineering at university when he found my course and realized engineering wasn't for him. So he took the course, applied what I teach, hustled very hard, and got his job, and then dropped out of university to begin his career. So it's a very exciting story. I'm very excited to share it with you. Thanks for being here, Aramis.
Thank you so much, Seth. I'm so grateful to be here.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job that you have right now?
Yeah, so in my current job, I've only been there for just over a month, almost 2 months. So they're actually sort of easing me into the role, but eventually I'll be, it's a client-facing role. So I'm an SEO account manager. So what that involves is it's also for e-commerce websites specifically. So things like improving their SEO for the e-commerce website. So it's sort of like medium to large size businesses and enterprises. Right now, I'm really just sort of learning the ropes, getting used to the company culture, the structure, before I actually start talking to clients. But so far, I have been doing reporting and just sort of strategy implementation and ideation sort of things.
That's fantastic. And how much are you getting paid? And is this a remote or an in-office job?
Yeah, so currently I'm on a $60,000 annual salary, also plus super. So in Australia, that is sort of just for retirement funds. And in terms of the sort of remote aspect to it, it's like Monday and Fridays are remote, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are in the office. So it's sort of a hybrid model. I think that's what they call it. So yeah, I'm in the office 3 days a week and remote 2 days a week.
That's great. I mean, I think that's actually it can be a great arrangement because it's a nice blend between having your independence and freedom, but you also get the socialization of being around your team in the office. Do you like the team? Is it a good company culture?
Yeah, it's actually a really amazing company culture. They've been really good to me. They've really sort of been, I guess everyone is sort of like a mentor, especially because I'm pretty young there. Everyone else has sort of already been in the digital marketing space for a few years. So it's really, I'm really grateful to be sort of surrounded by these like mentors. Everyone has their own style. They're really supportive, and the culture is fantastic, really.
That's so great. And again, you are young and you are making more money than most people your age. So why don't you tell people, of course, people want to know, like, how did this happen? How did you get here? What was going on in your life when you first found out about my course and digital marketing?
Yeah, so originally, only this year, I was in my third and a half year of studying engineering at university. But I felt like it wasn't really for me. I'd been sticking it out for a few years, maybe thought something might change, but didn't really. So just sort of, I was on YouTube one day and I just stumbled across Seth's course and thought that digital marketing was maybe something that could be for me because I like the analytical aspect of engineering, but I felt like my creative abilities, which are pretty innate to myself, weren't really being used too much. So digital marketing is a bit of creative and analytical kind of work. So it was like, oh, this looks really interesting. So I just sort of said, okay, let's see what the course has to offer. And so I went through that. And what sort of stood out to me was not just the fact that it was teaching digital marketing, but also it was very actionable steps in the course to really get the job. So I'd say the course was a digital marketing course that taught the fundamentals and all that, but also how to actually get a foot in the industry. So I went through that and, of course, submitted some job applications, got a few rejections, but it's all a learning process. And, through the hustle and hard work, eventually got here.
Yeah, that is, and that's awesome. And yeah, that is the right attitude to have. Of course, it all is a learning process, and you're learning skills, as you said, that are much more practical or hands-on than are being taught in any school. So, let's get into a little more detail. Like, what was it like applying for these jobs? And like, were you getting responses? And, what was it like to then, interview with this company, given that you didn't I mean, you didn't even have a job before this, right? You told me you had a sales job for a couple of weeks, but this is really, you really had nothing to put on your resume in terms of previous experience, correct?
Yeah, correct. So I guess it's a bit of a story actually, but from the beginning, yes. So when I started applying for jobs, just submitting applications online, they would say, this many years of experience, whatnot. I just sort of went for it anyway. So originally I was going for maybe like junior to sort of mid, just before senior positions. So not like too out of my scope, but I got a few callbacks from the mid-level positions, but they were looking for a bit more experience. So I sort of shifted my focus, just okay, junior, roles, and that really sort of, I guess, was the benefit because I was definitely a suitable candidate for junior roles, in particular from what I got from Seth's course. So yeah, it was interesting. So while I was at university, I just took a study break because I didn't want to drop out just straight away, just in case it's a little risky. But what happened was, it's a bit of a story. So the sales job that Seth just mentioned, I had it for like only 2, 3 weeks. But as I was applying for jobs, it's just that the sales job got back to me before this other job that I applied to and I really wanted. They didn't get back to me for a while, but this other sales job got back to me. The only reason I accepted it is because they were also doing SEO. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a way to get my foot in the door, but didn't really enjoy it. And luckily, this other company that I wanted to really apply for called back while I was at this sales job. And I just sort of took the chance. I was like, hey, is there chance I could, talk about the role? Because they got back to me by email and they said, yeah, sure, let's have a chat. And so I chatted about my experience, said that I was already working at this other company that's doing SEO, so I'm really familiar. I've taken the course. I'm doing this at university, and they said, okay, great. Would you like to come into the office? So I was like, okay, sure. And so when I stepped into the office, the co-founder, he interviewed me. And even though it wasn't the most formal interview, he only asked like maybe 3 questions or so, but they were really just sort of straight to the point questions. Things like why we should hire you, and also why you're in university studying engineering, why do you want to switch to SEO? What's so it's really interesting because when they looked at my resume, they could see that I was a student studying engineering, and I guess that was interesting to him because most people that apply come from like a finance background or a marketing background, but I was sort of the only engineering student, and also knowing all this SEO stuff because he was a web developer himself. So I guess that sort of resonated with him. So ultimately, he must have been really interested in my application, in particular, having this engineering and all the SEO sort of fundamental knowledge. So I guess as an applicant, I was one of the more unique ones. I know I'm talking for a bit long here, but essentially they wanted to take me on because I just showed what I had to offer, and that landed me getting the job.
That's awesome, man. No, you didn't talk too long. It was everyone wants to hear your story. That's why you're here. And that's really interesting too. I mean, you did take, some people ask me this too, like you basically, it sounds like you had taken a sales job initially, and that's not digital marketing though. And you found that out, like you were on the cold calling side of things. And that's not what I teach in the course. And it's not going to then somehow transition into a technical job like you have now. It's funny you say that because when I got my first agency job, I was actually also doing telemarketing for a PPC company. And they didn't care about that. They cared about the experience, the things that you mentioned about having the knowledge of SEO that you generated from the course. And this does happen at these agencies, as I said, in this field, it's very young. It's still a relatively new field. There's a different kind of culture. It's not a very straight-laced corporate culture where they're going to be like, oh, you didn't go to Harvard. Well, we can't talk to you. They're going to want to know about your personality and your interests and your knowledge. And you got to just be able to geek out about digital marketing. So many of my students, again, you're going to end up talking to the CEO. You always usually end up talking to the head of the company, which is really cool about this field, because they want to find out about who they're hiring. And I think, the fact that you had an engineering background, you've had a ton of engineering students drop out and get into digital marketing, because again, it does have the analytical component, but it's so much more flexible and invigorating than just kind of what you do in most engineering jobs, which can be very repetitive. So, and obviously I would also say just your personality. I mean, you say you're 21, you don't come across as 21 to me. You look, you have more of a mature demeanor. So I think all those things factored into the fact that they wanted to work with you and train you. So what was it like when you actually got hired?
Yeah, so when I got hired, of course, I was really happy, and especially to hear that there were sort of remote opportunities within the role as well, because I never had a remote job. So I guess it's the first time working remotely and in an actual office as well. But it actually, honestly, the company and the culture really did exceed my expectations. It wasn't like super corporate. It was pretty casual. They offered to, send me work from home equipment and yeah, just getting to know everyone. It sort of felt very sort of close knitted. It wasn't like super large office. 20, 30 people in the office, and getting to know them, being surrounded by everyone who has their own sort of unique style of teaching and training, and just the sort of different roles. For me, it's really, really fantastic just being able to learn all of this for the first time, and especially because I was so young. People said that they had been in like other roles, the companies, that just weren't so great, the culture, things like that. So they said, I guess I got pretty lucky to get this as my first gig for a company like this. And yeah, just been really friendly, really fantastic sort of culture, I'd say.
That's fantastic, man. And that's what I say to people is like, your first job is, it's a learning experience. In addition, you're getting exposed to people who have more experience than you that are going to be teaching you so much that by the time you're ready to move on to your next position, I mean, you're just going to be in a really good place. And it sounds like a very supportive environment. And you guys, if you watch these interviews, you're going to see this pattern again and again, that these companies, again, they want to see you have the basic knowledge, and they're going to train you. Because they said there's not enough people, especially, I mean, in all the different countries. It happens in America, but also in Australia. I've got a lot of students from Australia, Canada, and the UK as well. And like we just interviewed James, who was 16 years old and working at an agency. So there's a lot of opportunities in Australia and in most countries, Western countries. But I'm excited for you, and you're just at the very beginning of your career. But I did want to ask you something curious, which is to say, so what was it like dropping out of college or university? And, what was the response from, say, your family?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, because my parents sort of like throughout my entire sort of schooling and childhood, things like that, they were always sort of like going, go to school, go to education, get a degree, or engineering, or being a doctor or a lawyer is really good. So I was quite nervous going into Seth's course and like saying, oh man, I'm really gonna apply this knowledge and try to get this job that my parents probably aren't even aware of. But surprisingly, they were pretty supportive of it. They just sort of not super pressured me, but said, look, as long as if you sort of want a goal, just try to get there, in a reasonable amount of time, because you did invest quite a bit of time into this degree. You don't want to be spending a bunch more years like trying to get to places. So if you can sort of accelerate your path towards your goals, then go for it. Just be focused, and yeah, if you can show what you've got, then we'll be happy. And I got the job, and yeah, they're pretty proud of me. So yeah, it's been interesting. I explained it to my parents. My mom seems to catch on about all this digital marketing stuff. My dad says, oh, is that like IT or something? Like, not really, but yeah, I'll probably have to explain that for the rest of the year. But yeah, they're actually pretty supportive, so I was really grateful for that.
That's awesome, man. And you guys, if you have parents that are pressuring you into college, I'm telling you. So I have a lot of students where it's once you get hired, they just want you to be secure. That's all they really care about. Some parents are kind of insane, where they're just like, you have to get that degree. Even if you're making 70K a year, 60K a year, they still want the degree. But most parents really love you, care about you, and they just want you to be financially secure. And most of them associate financial security with college, which is terrible because it's the opposite for most people. But once they see that you actually will, can get a job in this field, most parents will be proud of you. So that's really exciting. So then you decided to drop out of school, and they were cool with that too, because you had the job.
Yeah. I mean, they were pretty impressed. Like, oh wow, you actually got the job just before your study break ended, because it was actually right before my study break ended, or I think I just sort of went a week over. They'd already started back at school, but like luckily I got the job, so I didn't like risk too much there. And they were pretty happy about that.
Yeah. And how long did it take? I'm just curious, like from when you started the course to getting the job. Like when did you start the course?
I started the course in April, so until now it took about 4 months of doing the course and until getting the job. So
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah, man, this is exciting. And I'm always excited. I'm always excited to be part of somebody dropping out of university to move on to a field that they're passionate about and they're going to get paid in. And you're already getting paid 60K in your first job, Australian. And, you know, it's just only going to get better from there. So yeah, man, this is really exciting. Did your friends or other people in university, what did they think about all this?
Yeah, so interestingly, a lot of my friends also studying engineering or even just sort of like finance or anything like that, data science at university. I just sort of mentioned to them, I'm getting this job in digital marketing, and some of them had an idea, and some of them actually thought, oh, is that like software engineering? Is that sort of like UI, UX stuff? And while there are certain aspects of it, yeah, I was actually quite surprised at the number of like only a few people sort of understood like about digital marketing SEO. But yeah, they were so, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, so I was actually a bit surprised at how many people like still didn't really know too much about digital marketing, especially, you know, being at university, there aren't any courses on this kind of stuff because it's such a rapidly moving sort of industry, things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point, you know, guys. And I love when you hear you say this. First of all, I love that you said your dad didn't understand the job. And I've told you guys from the story. It took me a few years for my parents to understand it. And that's great when you have a high an in-demand, sophisticated skill set that people don't understand. That's usually good. It means that you have it's a high value position and skill set. And yeah, people still don't know about it. And it's kind of mind blowing. You know, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I really thought by like 2018, 2019, there'd be an explosion of like competent digital marketers like saturating the market. And it's not the case. I mean, and your university, I mean, it's crazy. These are all people your age, right? So they're all in their early 20s. So you think, oh, these guys are young, they're savvy, they're on the web, they're in engineering, they would know what SEO and digital marketing PPC is. They don't know either. And this is why, guys, this field is still such a great opportunity, and there's still so many opportunities. You know, there's still such a need for people with the skill set. And you can see somebody like Aramis, who's 21 and had no previous job experience, got hired at his current agency. So anyway, man, I again, I want to thank you for sharing your story with us. Can people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just Aramis Demand on LinkedIn. I think a few people have already reached out on LinkedIn, which is great. Otherwise, Facebook, I'm in the Facebook group as well. Yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of those options are totally perfect.
Great. I'll put his link in the description below the video. And then finally, is there anything you'd want to say to me or anybody watching the video who hasn't taken the course?
Yeah, so for those who haven't taken the course, like I mentioned before, I thought, oh, this is just a digital marketing course. I mean, it's great to be able to learn about this stuff, but again, actually going through the course, you know, Seth really sort of drills in that mindset and the confidence. To be honest with you, like from me, the biggest thing that I got out of the course was just sort of the confidence to go out and apply for these jobs. Don't fret too much, and just sort of overcoming failure, just getting back up. It's advertised as a digital marketing course, but I think there is so much more value in the sort of actionable steps that you can take and apply in the real world for life, really.
Awesome, man. Well said, guys. Yeah, you know, you've heard these stories again and again. These opportunities are real, and I do train you not only, as I said, not only on the skills, but how to actually get the job. And you know, you will get the result if you continue. He said, if you continue to move forward with a positive attitude, taking action, you will find that opportunity, just like Aramis. So anyway, man, yeah, thanks again for sharing your story. And guys, yeah, feel free to reach out to Aramis on LinkedIn, and let's stay in touch. And you know, I'm going to circle back with you in like a year. I want to see where you're at that point, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Seth. And I'm really grateful for being here, doing this interview. I remember watching, a few months ago, everyone else doing these interviews, and I was like, wow, imagine if I was there, and now I'm here. So if I can do it, anyone else can do it. And yeah, thank you to everyone in the course that helped me along the way. And I'm really more than happy to help other people who are just starting out as well.
Awesome, man. You're quite welcome. We appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Seth. Talk to you soon.